Hello YouTube, ReadyReptiles here with another video, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about soaking baby tortoises, hydrating your adult tortoises, and the benefits from each. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and let's get started. Alright guys, so I want to start off by talking about how to set up a tub for soaking a baby animal. So first off, right here I'm going to be soaking my radiated Aldabra and baby sulcata tortoises. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you guys know I make constant videos about this topic and I show you guys how to do it, but here I wanted to come on YouTube and give you guys a longer explanation and a little bit more in depth of what to do. So right now the tortoises are not in the tubs, but as you can see I have 3 tubs for each individual species. I have my hose. Since I do live in the state of Florida and the hose is black, make sure wherever you are, even if this hose is in direct sunlight, just to let it run for a few minutes, just to a couple seconds, just so it can really get rid of the excruciating hot water from these animals. Because if you do soak them in too hot of water, it's not good for them, but you also don't want to soak them in cold water, as well. So once I let the water kind of, scurry out of the hose, I kind of, touch it here on my skin, make sure that it's nice and, cool for the animals. And then I begin to fill up the tubs. So once I fill up the tubs, what's important to understand is you want to make sure that the tub is in a secure platform, kind of like not a smooth surface, but a very flat surface, because if you do have it at an angle, one side can get deeper. And I want to fill it just about chin high for the baby tortoises. So like that, when I do place them in there, they are not going to, drown, because as we know, tortoises do not swim. And even though we have tortoises that can float and things of that sort, we really don't want to, obviously drown the animal. So in the next clip, you're going to see me put the tortoises in. I'm going to explain the procedure. Alright, so right here, I put the baby tortoises inside each respective tub. We have the critically endangered radiated tortoises from Madagascar, our also endangered Aldabra tortoise, and then we have our 2 young sulcata tortoises, Pop Dart and Bagel Bite. This guy's name is Aristotle. Then we got 11 Flare, Hopper, and yet to be named, which is the little new guy. But what I want to talk to you guys about in this clip is, as you can see, these tortoises are placed in direct sunlight, and it is important when you guys do soak your baby tortoises, if you have the availability and if you are able to place them in direct sunlight, just because the sun provides essential UVA and UVB rays that really help these tortoises grow. It, that nutrients that the sun gives off, it provides that smooth shell, which is what we are going for when keeping tortoises. We can eliminate the chances of getting pyramiding. Obviously, we reduce the vulnerability of metabolic bone disease because the sun is strengthening their bones. It's giving them the essential nutrients that they really do require. So on top of this, we also want to understand that diet does take into place when, keeping an animal that has such a beautiful shell. But in this case, soaking them in direct sunlight really helps that, because, the sun is going to go inside the shell. It's going to really, give them that fiber, give them that nutrients that they really require, and it's going to, it keeps them healthy, happy, and it's a way for them to grow. Now, another reason why we soak these baby animals is so we can monitor them. These animals will poop, will pee, they will drop calcium deposits inside the water, and as the keeper, it gives you a chance to kind of, have a one-on-one time with these tortoises to really focus in on them, see if they're pooping, see if they're peeing, check the calcium deposits. If the, the poop looks funny, if the poop is runny, things of that sort, you are able to understand that and take matters into their own hands if it requires medical attention. If the tortoise, obviously more than likely is going to be fine if you are soaking it on a daily basis. Now, when it comes to soaking, I myself like to soak every day for about 20 to 30 minutes, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, depending on the time I have. But I do soak on a daily basis in direct sunlight, just so I can really make sure that these tortoises are getting that UV, from the UV index that is provided. Another reason why we do soak is also to make sure that our tortoises get hydrated. These animals will drink water in their enclosure, but by me soaking these animals on a daily basis, they will drink from their tub, and that is a good thing, because like that, I know these animals are getting water, and that is primarily one of the main reasons why baby tortoise hatchlings do not survive, because they are severely underhydrated. So that's another reason why we like to soak, because by soaking them, they can drink. We can obviously monitor their bile, which is poop, any bacteria in the water, and the tortoises can also get a little bit of a soak, a little bit of a clean, and you keep the tortoises nice and clean. By them also pooping inside the water, you avoid the enclosure from getting too dirty, and you don't have to be cleaning as often, even though you should be checking the enclosure every day for any poop, any things that you need to remove, such as old food. So that's one of this is primarily one of the main reasons why I like to soak these animals on a daily basis. If you cannot soak on a daily basis, I would recommend soaking pretty much, you know, at least 3 times a week on the minimum. And if you cannot soak outside, for example, during winter, soaking indoors is perfectly okay. Just want to make sure that the water is not too cold, obviously not too hot. And if you do have the ability to place a UV lamp over these guys, it is beneficial, because like that, you really know that the UV rays are, you know, hitting these tortoises shells. And like that, you know, you provide yourself with a stable animal that is going to be very healthy, that is going to have nice shell structure, and you know, it's going to be very healthy and happy. So these are just some things that you want to consider when soaking the tortoise. Obviously, these guys are going to be soaking for about 20 to 30 minutes here. As the sun comes in and out, it is going to be okay. And yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. And another thing that we have to consider and understand when soaking baby animals, or soaking any animal in general, when they do pee and poop inside the water, which hopefully here soon they will, and I'll show you guys a vivid example as a clip, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit. When they do pee and poop inside the water, you want to change it as soon as possible. When I do soak my tortoises, I am 100% supervising these animals, because I want to make sure no predators can come and, you know, swoop on them. And also I need to watch these animals, because they can flip themselves over, and if they do flip themselves over, you know, they potentially can drown, or the sun is, you know, obviously very strong, and we do not want to cook these baby tortoises either. So you need to understand that, you know, soaking them in chin high water, so like that they do not drown. As you can see, these tortoises all have their heads above the water, and they are none, you know, kind of swimming in the water nor floating in it. So remember, when they poop and pee, you want to change it out as fast as possible, because they can drink, and obviously you don't want them soaking in their waist. And then we want to soak in chin high water, just so like that these tortoises do not drown, and we obviously are monitoring them just to really make sure that everything is okay. So hopefully here soon in one of the next clips, you'll see them poop and pee, you'll see me change out the water, and I'll kind of explain to you that process, and then we'll move on to the adults and how I hydrate these adult tortoises. All right, so here is an example of what I mean when the tortoises poop and pee inside the water. Right here, as you can see, Pop-Tart and Bagel Bite kind of stole the water a little bit. There is a tortoise poop right there. So what I would do is I remove the tortoises gently right here. As you can see, there's more remnants coming out of the tortoises behind the end. And I just kind of toss it out here into the grass. It's not going to do anything to the grass, obviously. And then I like to rinse it out before I replace the water, just to make sure everything's nice and clean. And then obviously what I'll do is I'll place the tortoises back in the tub right here. And then I'll slowly dispense some new fresh water into the tub. Like that, they can, if they do want to keep drinking, if they do want to keep pooping and peeing in the water, they'll have fresh clean water to do so. And right here, as you can see, the radiator is just pooped right now. So what I'll do is I'll change this one out as well. All right, guys, so now on to hydrating the adult tortoises. So I want to talk a little bit about water dishes for these tortoises. These are for my adult sulcata tortoises. This is the main habitat, and this is for my 2 females that I'm raising up. As you can see, this one's pretty clean, and that one has a little bit of algae in it. I scrub it off all the time. It's kind of just stuck there right now. It's not harmful for the tortoises, and I think we worry too much about having a completely clean water dish when in the wild and in their native ranges, the water is not always going to be so clean, obviously. So as long as it's not pooped or peed in, a little bit of leaf and a little bit of dirt doesn't do too much damage to these guys, because they'll obviously just drink and it'll filter through. So what I do is I take my hose and I like to fill it up all the way as much as possible, and then I'll walk this over to the actual main habitat, and I'll show you what I do when I put it inside, and I'll show you another way on how I fill it up. All right, guys, so right here is the tortoise habitat, of course, for my adult sulcata tortoise. As you can see, their water dish is in place. It is clean, fresh. They will probably dirty this right away, but for people who don't understand, or a question that I kind of get all the time is, do your adult tortoises drink? Do I need to provide water for any of my animals? And the immediate answer that I like to give is 100% yes. And even though you will not see your tortoises drink all the time, it is very important to provide hydration for these animals, especially if you don't see it. Doesn't mean that they're not using it. I myself have caught my tortoises many times drinking out of the water dish. And for those that don't know, tortoises pretty much don't drink out of their mouth. They drink through their nostrils. They have the ability to kind of cut off their nasal flap and actually drink through their nose. What that does is it'll close the lungs and it goes straight into their stomach, obviously, where they will, take the water intake and hydrate themselves accordingly. So right here is Mr. Goobs. There is Gabs. They probably won't drink on camera. I do have a video of them drinking, and I'll place this in the next clip right after this one, so you guys can kind of see how they drink. And obviously on my Instagram, I try to catch it as much as possible. And when I do catch it, I post it on there as well. So right now, you know, the habitat's nice and clean. They'll see the water whenever they do feel, you know, the need to drink. They will go ahead and do that. So I'll show you guys in the next clip how they drink from their nostril, and then I'll explain some more things. So another thing that I want to kind of explain here is that tortoises in general are pretty much motivated by the sound of running water, and that kind of encourages them and entices them to drink a little bit. So next to me, or next to their habitat, I have a fountain running that I made for my mom, and it does have a water chute, and that sound kind of trickles over into this enclosure. And you know, the day that they do really feel the need to hydrate themselves, they will obviously drink, because I do put fresh water every day in here. And that's just kind of a little fact that I thought I'd explain to you guys, and you know, tell you guys that I don't really see a lot of people highlight very often. They are motivated by that sound. It makes them, you know, want to drink, and it gives them that urge. So that's another thing to understand. So maybe if you don't see your tortoise drinking, even though it probably is drinking, you may want to just add a little bit of a, you know, sound to the area. Probably will get them motivated and, you know, encourage them to drink a little bit. And another thing that I want to talk about is another way I hydrate my tortoises. So as you guys saw, I filled up the water dish and I went and I placed it inside the enclosure. Another thing that I'll do is I'll take my Home Depot 5-gallon bucket, I'll fill it up to the top, and I come and I just kind of pour it in to kind of overflow the old water. Obviously I'll dump it out if it's too dirty, and then it kind of just fills it up. But another way that I do hydrate is when I do feed fruit to my grassland species. So that includes the Aldabra, that includes Sulcatas, Galapagoses, Radiateds, leopard tortoises, animals that eat higher in fiber things. They are not required, and they shouldn't be eating fruit all the time because it has too much sugar and their digestive tract cannot handle that. So when I do feed sugary foods, or when I do feed a fruit, I like to choose melons. So that is watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew. Those are 3 fruit items that when I do feed about once or twice a month, depending on when I can find it available or when I do decide to go out and get it, I like to feed that melon just so that they can eat that fruit. And obviously watermelon is filled with water, so that's another way that I can kind of upkeep the hydration of these animals. When I do let them out and they do graze in my backyard, which is pretty much every day to every other day here, they do drink. Obviously, you know, in the mornings they'll get the morning dew from the grass. When it does rain, you know, they'll kind of sit in the water a little bit, soak on it, drink from puddles. So those are other ways that they can hydrate themselves. Animals such as the Aldabra, where they do come from, in the Aldabra Islands in Mauritius, that area. The reason why tortoises mostly drink from their nose is because water, when it rains, it'll collect into pockets of rocks, into hard to reach places. So instead of putting their whole mouth in and kind of drinking from their mouth, they'll just pretty much dip their head inside the puddle, and they'll drink through their nose. So their nose is pretty much a straw. So those are some things that you can do. So remember to always provide clean, fresh water for your animals in their habitat. I provide it for the babies, for the adults, no matter what size of the animal. And then some, you know, things that you can do to kind of add a little bit of enrichment and a little bit to their diet and hydrate them as well is feed fruits such as watermelon, obviously, you know, stuff that are edible for the tortoises. So I wanted to kind of bring that light to it and share that little aspect of it. And, you know, it's another thing that you guys can consider. So usually while these baby tortoises soak, what I like to do is I like to go inside their enclosure, clean it up, provide fresh water in their enclosure, and also, you know, change out old food, feed them new food. So like that, when they are done soaking, since they are pooping and peeing in the water, they are going to be a little bit hungry when I place them back in their habitats. So once they're back in the habitat, they have fresh food, fresh water, and they're good to go for the rest of the day. Alright guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Here are some tips and tricks that you can use when it comes to soaking and raising up your baby tortoises, and obviously hydrating your adult tortoises. So for more information, check us out on TikTok and Instagram at ReadyReptiles. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Subscribe, rate, comment, likes, and see you, my fellow herpers.